Good morning, everyone, and welcome from Leduc Weddings. I'm your host, Armando Leduc.
And I am Shauna Rappold Leduc, and you are watching The Wedding Minute, the show where you can get all of your inside tips from the top wedding professionals.
Today we're here with John Michael from Superior Seafood, a fantastic restaurant uptown right there on St. Charles and Napoleon. It's actually where we had our rehearsal dinner, and this show is all about rehearsal dinners and
post-wedding brunches, mimosas.
Thank you for being on our show, John Michael.
Yes, thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here. I thank y'all for inviting me. You know, rehearsal dinners are definitely something that we're very passionate about at Superior Seafood.
What made you want to get into the wedding business?
Well, when my wife and I got married, it was March 3rd of 2012. A few weeks prior to that, we were planning to open the restaurant as well. So we opened the restaurant on January 17th of 2012.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, so imagine combining both of these two activities.
I can't.
And
I
the
almost
fact-
shut down.
And the fact that it was the end of the world, supposedly. So
Oh, absolutely.
Were you worried about that at all?
You know, I think the wedding was a little bit of a priority over that. And then the restaurant right behind it. And that's how I'll always stick to. That's my story always.
Gotcha.
Wedding first.
That's right.
But
Right.
so in the process of going through the painstaking task of finding dates and hotel rooms and bands and reception venues, we found that it was very hard to get the information we needed in a very timely manner, and to get the accurate information, and for people to be very upfront with what they were giving you or offering to you. And so we vowed that we had great space. We were on St. Charles Avenue. We had a beautiful view of the streetcar. We had a room that could be sectioned off to fit large gatherings. We said, you know what? We can do this better than other people do. We can make it easier. We want to be the easiest place to work with, you know, because there's so much stress surrounding weddings. We want to relieve some of that for people. So we decided to get into the wedding business pretty much as soon as we opened the doors.
Let me tell you, we had our rehearsal dinner there, and it was flawless. I mean, we had an amazing cocktail hour. The sit-down dinner was just incredible. There was not one thing that I was like, oh, I wish we had this, I wish we had that. I mean, everything I could have asked for was there and more. So it's a really, really great, and it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Everyone is so nice.
We'll obviously throw up some videos while we're talking about it so that you guys can see the sectioned off area where we had how many people? Like close to 50?
It was like 40, maybe like 42.
Yeah, somewhere in that range. Yeah.
Yeah, so you do rehearsal dinners.
We do.
And so talk to us a little bit about this post-Sunday brunch.
So post-Sunday brunches, this is something that we've found is become a big thing with weddings. You know, weddings there's a lot that goes into it.
Right.
And there's a lot of stress and pressure involved in everything. And in order to send everybody off, especially if it's a destination wedding, say, people want to regather before everyone takes off to go to whatever city they came from,
Right.
or whatever destination they had come from previously. And the easiest way to do that is to do a nice kind of casual buffet style mimosas and Bloody Mary bar brunch. And we offer a great meeting point in Uptown that's very easy to get to. The space is right, and we're able to provide that atmosphere that's very casual and stress-free,
Right.
so everyone can kind of wrap the weekend up. Because that's
And
what
they can
weddings are.
valet park too, right?
Yeah.
For free?
The free valet, the space, the access to the streetcar, all that makes it so any out-of-town guest or local can easily get there, and, you know, a stress-free environment to wrap it all up.
Talk to us a little bit about the pricing when it comes to like the rehearsal dinner and who's usually paying for that. I know the groom's dad is supposed to be paying for that.
Standard, I guess, traditionally, the groom's dad will take care of that aspect, or the groom's family, I should
Right.
say.
Sure.
Will take care of that, the rehearsal dinner. And there's situations where that doesn't happen, or,
Right.
you know, it's split, however. And we are more than happy to do it however is needed. But price-wise, we found that, you know, what we like to do is, again, be the easiest and most upfront to work with. We know that weddings are big business. We offer the best pricing based on the space that you can find. We don't do room fees. We just ask that you spend what would make sense for our business.
Sure.
You know, because we're going to lock off an area, so we're very aggressive with the pricing in the favor of the guest. We just want to make sure that we can basically build a nice venue and build the event that you want in the space that we have, and keep it cost effective for everybody, so that we actually do pretty well with it, and that you don't feel overcommitted in what you're doing.
How much was like the most that's ever been spent?
Oh man, For a rehearsal dinner, we've had them upwards of 5 figures. So we've had, close to $10,000 rehearsal dinners. Yeah.
Wow.
How many people are at that dinner?
There was about 65 people.
That's a
but
good size rehearsal dinner.
They did. They had a sit-down dinner to start, and they did everything. The filet on the menu, the bacon-wrapped shrimp, the char-grilled oysters, just all the great highlighted menu items that we have. They did that full open bar, and then they had a kind of a cocktail party for all the people who were in town, part of the wedding, that weren't invited necessarily to the dinner. So they had a very large gathering from out of town. It was an out of town. So they wanted everyone to be able to congregate around where the rehearsal dinner was.
That's great.
So we basically flipped the room as they were finishing dinner. We flipped the room and then turned it into a cocktail space where another 100 people showed up and ordered cocktails. And we had desserts,
awesome.
petit fours and all that thrown out for them. So
And I
it was
tell
nice.
you what, like, these guys have this down to a science. Like, I guarantee you that none of the guests realized they were even flipping the room. They're so smooth. They operate so well.
Smooth operators.
They are smooth operators. They really, really are. I mean, so they could be eating and then don't even realize that all of a sudden they're in cocktail hour because it's just such a well-oiled machine over there. Definitely recommend you having a rehearsal dinner there or post Sunday brunch.
Yes. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, the brunches are actually, like I said, big. They're really starting to catch on. It is the least stressful activity of a whole wedding. You think about weddings and everything that leads up to it.
Whew.
For the guy, the stress is gone once she says yes. Right? Am I right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'd
she
say
said
that.
yes.
Yeah, I'd say
Whew.
so. Right.
I can breathe now. But that's when it starts for the female and for all her family.
Right.
Family.
There's the mom and the sisters
Yeah.
and the family and the bridesmaids, everything. And so the guys kind of have it easy, but there's a lot of stress. There's decisions to be made. There's just a lot to go through and coordinate and organize. And that's why a lot of people get, wedding planners or choreographers or all those different things to take a little bit of that stress off.
Right.
So that all leads up to one event. To one large event where it's a ceremony uniting two people, committing to each other, and at that point, you're stressing out about everything leading up to there. So the next day, the stress is gone.
Ooh.
Everyone can
that.
kind of sit back and relax.
We actually did brunch too. We did brunch, but
It was a gorilla brunch.
Yeah, we
Floating brunch.
We were
Yeah,
having-
just everywhere.
We just woke up and said, we're going to go have breakfast. It's like,
And
whoever wants to come, that's where we're going.
I wish I would have known about the post Sunday brunch because I think that would have been a nice
talked
thing.
about doing it, but it just, so many people had so many different budgets and we didn't want to pay
So who
for it.
pays for that?
There's been a number of situations where we've done it. We've had all paid for by actually the bride's family.
Okay.
We've had it to where it's a prefix menu and people just choose what they want. And we've had it to where it's just casual, just show up and they buy a bunch of appetizers, and if people want to order entrees, they do.
Yeah.
And get whatever drinks you want. Again, we try to be as easy to work with. It's your event. We just facilitate it. We use the space that we have to facilitate what you want to do.
Right.
And as long as it works out with everybody, and everybody's happy, and everyone kind of gets at least most of what they want, then, we're happy to have people.
And how many weddings do you say you guys do a year?
Oh, wow. Last year, I actually just counted these numbers for our end of the year meeting with the staff. I always like to kind of recap them on how we've done and where we've improved. This is kind of crazy to say, but we did 56 rehearsals last year. So it's at least one a week.
Yeah.
And that's good because they'll range from Thursday. We have one tomorrow night, actually. They'll range from Thursdays, some Fridays, and even on Saturdays. People are starting to get married on Sundays. So it gives you a couple other days. So we do upwards of 50 a year. Right now, we have over 50 scheduled, and we expect to book some more later in the year.
That's
as it comes.
amazing.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I know weddings are a time of happiness and joy and all that stuff, and we had a rowdy crowd with us. Can you think of any of the funniest moments that maybe you witnessed?
Yes, absolutely. This was not a PG moment by
Okay.
any means.
Not PG.
We had a group, and we have capability of doing audiovisual. So if you want to have a slideshow or music playing
I think I know where this is going.
on TV, you can do that. And most of the times, the bride or groom will pass that on to a bridesmaid or a groomsman.
Yes.
Well, this one particular groomsman kind of showed up. He seemed disheveled. He was kind of all over the place. He had enjoyed his night before. Right? Showed up, and I think it was a little bit late, and people were starting to come into the room and was trying to hustle to get the production on the TVs. And we had it set up, so all he had to do was plug in and pull up the video. Well, usually I recommend, and especially after this incident, I recommend you pull up the video and then we plug in.
Oh gosh.
So as soon as he opened his computer, he plugged right in. It opens up, and there was a picture of something that you wouldn't want your children seeing. So a nice young lady was pictured on the screen. She wasn't wearing everything or anything.
And I'm assuming it was not the bride.
It was not the bride. It was just this guy's computer, the groomsman's computer, and whatever lady friend he
Oh man.
had been entertaining
That's good.
previously. So
It was just a picture, it wasn't a video?
it was just a picture, and it went on all 6 screens immediately.
Oh my god.
And like I said, the party was just walking in, so I don't know that anyone saw it, but I ripped that cord as quickly as possible. And we had a good laugh about
That's
it.
good.
And then he opened it up without plugging it in, and then
Fixed it.
yeah, fixed it and got it to where it needed to be, and
That's good.
it went flawlessly from there.
That's really good. I'm
It was
crying
fun.
a little bit.
That's
That's
awesome.
great.
It was fun. So it changed the way we do things. But pull up the video
live and you
first.
learn.
Well, there you
Pull
go.
the video
Yeah.
first, and then we'll work on getting it to all the screens.
Do you think that people should be doing their bachelor and bachelorette parties like way ahead of time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I agree.
It still shocks me that people will do it.
Yeah.
Like a couple days before.
Yeah.
You still see that, and we see that aspect of weddings as well. We see the bachelorette and bachelor party dinners. They'll come in for dinner.
Why do you think people do this?
I don't know.
What is the purpose?
A lot of
What the
bachelor
old-
parties, you need like a week to recover.
I think we did ours like 2 months
2 months.
before we
2
even
months
got
I think
married.
is perfect because you don't want it to be too soon. You don't want it to be too
Right.
early because then it's all part of
Because you
the
might change your mind.
process.
You might change your mind. No, definitely not. Well, I mean, not for me, but for some people out there, I think you should absolutely do your bachelor and bachelorette party at least a month or 2 months
I
in
agree.
advance.
I agree. You can't push it too close.
Good God, yeah, it's just crazy.
I know for me, my sister was much more of the creative person. Like she handled all of my table settings and threw me the best bridal shower ever. So I wasn't that creative and like decor is considered.
Mm-hmm.
So have you seen any like really fun or creative ideas that people have done wedding wise?
We have, in fact, we've seen setups that have actually made it challenging for us to actually put food on the table, where they've basically decorated the entire table with branches and flowers
Oh my
and
goodness.
candles and marbles, and you come back in the
So what
service
do you
order.
do?
You basically adapt. You do whatever you have to instead of doing large appetizer plates that everyone shares, family style. All right, well, let's individualize it and put it on small plates
See,
so they
this
can
is what
put
I
it right
like
in their
about
hands.
this guy. This is what
You
I
know,
like about this guy. See,
it's-
me, I would be like, "What is this?"
He would just like
This.
take his arm and
I would just,
let's
let's
everything
move this out
off
of the
the
way.
table.
This is not important.
Right,
Just
just
Don't think I didn't think about doing that.
no, yes, no, I
think
know.
that was
That's-
my original thought. You can't do that. Don't do that.
right.
Now,
Man,
we-
John Michael goes with the flow.
He goes with the
Goes
flow.
You have to.
flow. You
You
have
You
to go
do.
with the
You
flow.
do have to go with the flow.
You have to. It's their event. You know,
It
you
is
just want to
their
make
event.
make it right for them. One of the funnest was actually a bunch of baby pictures
Aw.
blown up, and almost every single window had. You've seen the room.
Oh, wow.
The space is huge. There's windows everywhere,
Everywhere.
and they had baby pictures hung up all over the place. And it was almost comical to the point it was too much because you can't go too far
Sure.
with decoration.
Yeah,
in my
I know.
opinion.
We did discuss the mistake of having your bachelor and bachelorette party way too late, meaning
Yes.
either a day or 2 days before
Mm-hmm.
your wedding. But let's talk about some other mistakes that you've seen brides and grooms make in this planning process.
Oh, of course. Can I tell you one that I made?
Sure.
please.
Of
So-
course.
Obviously, there's a very large discussion on who you invite, and I have a very big family.
Yeah.
My mother was one of 16. I have-
Oh.
I know.
Goodness.
That's a big number. I have 69 first cousins on my mother's side.
What?
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
So my family alone was 219 people to invite. Just my family. Between cousins, kids, aunts, uncles, the whole deal. So in that process, you're trying to keep the numbers where they are. I completely forgot to invite all of my high school buddies who weren't groomsmen.
Oh.
So the wedding day, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I can't believe this person and this person aren't showing up. And then Amy, my wife, tapped me and she goes, "You didn't invite them." I was like, oh my goodness. But it just shows you that there's so much going on that
Yeah.
you can lose sight of some of the things that are happening. So that's one of the big mistakes I made personally. Now that's a pretty dumb mistake. And I don't think many people are going to do that,
You
but
know, you say that, but that list stressed me
It-
out. It's so hard. It's so hard. Like, you know what we were reading? Something on the Knot that was saying if you want to decide who and who not to invite to your wedding, they were doing this rule. Like, if you've not seen them in 10 years, or if at your wedding you can't imagine yourself having more than a 1-minute conversation with them, don't invite them. It sounds cutthroat, but it's kind of...
It's kind of true.
Yeah.
Right.
That was a big mistake on my end.
So don't forget to invite your
friends.
high school.
invite your best friend throughout high school.
So don't forget to invite your friends and your high school buddies so that they're there for your special day.
Yes. Don't be like me.
So we've talked about don't have your bachelorette party. We talked about
Invite your friends.
invite your friends. And then can we think of one more mistake that you've seen?
Absolutely. I think, and this is more on kind of a serious tone, is don't lose sight of what it's all about.
Yes.
You know, it's something that I see happen a lot.
Yeah.
You know, is you stress and you worry. This is two people who love each other getting together.
Right.
And their families getting together and celebrating. And people lose sight about actually what it is. They lose sight during the production of it all.
Right.
And they don't take a step back to actually enjoy it. I'll tell you, one of the most memorable things that I can remember in doing rehearsal dinners was actually happened this past year. We had a rehearsal dinner scheduled, and a hurricane was coming. And the city was shut down. A curfew.
I remember.
Yes. A curfew was implemented, and we had a rehearsal dinner that was supposed to start at 7:30, and a curfew was implemented that would begin at, I believe, 6 or 7 or somewhere along those lines. So the poor people called us and were like, "Are y'all still open?" I'm like, "We booked an event with you. I don't care. If they come and shut me down, they can come and shut me down. But we promised that we would hold an event for you. You are from out of town. You are here. We're open. You're
Once
coming
again, this guy just makes it happen for you. So let that.
I will risk going to jail.
Superior Seafood, right here for you. All right, I'm sorry.
So,
Continue your story.
So they came in and they were worried this curfew would extend into the next day and what was going to happen, and the storm would just wreak havoc. And so the look on everyone's faces, the mother of the bride, the father of the groom, all the family was just distraught, almost like defeated look, because they weren't even sure if they were going to have a wedding the next day. And I went upstairs and I got a bottle of champagne out of our wine room just because I was like, we need to do something more than just be here for them. Let's show, hey, we understand that this is a tough situation. And I expected to go out there and talk to the bride and groom and for them to be just as distraught as everybody else. But the two were holding hands and had huge smiles on their faces because they didn't lose sight of the moment.
Right.
They realized it doesn't matter if we have this big ceremony or if plans get changed or if we have to stand in mud,
right,
you know, for the wedding. They knew that they were there for each other, and that was the important part. And that was very memorable, just the looks on their faces, holding hands, and they were happy.
Right.
And I gave them that bottle of champagne, and, you know, I said, you drink this tomorrow night after the wedding. And they were very appreciative, but it wasn't even necessary. They were happy no matter what. Because they were with each other, and they were still going to celebrate their love together, no matter what happens. No matter if there's a storm or if the venue's closed, you know, it doesn't matter. They were happy. So that's a memorable thing that I've seen.
Love. It's all for the love.
Are you crying?
I love love. I'm not crying. I'm not
Are you
crying. No.
She
But
does. She does.
it is
She
about the
loves
love. I do love love.
Okay, so the 3 things that we learned today, right? We're talking about rehearsal dinners. We're talking about the post-Sunday brunch. We're talking about making sure that you have enough time to book this. Don't wait till the last minute.
How far in advance are people booking their rehearsal dinners?
18 months at sometimes, you know, and if the time is right, if we have space, you know, we'll do it a month before or a week before if it happens to be necessary.
Do your best to not wait that long. You know, you want to get those things set because you also don't want the venue who's supposed to be making everything like easy for you to be flustered and rushed, you know.
Right, and we had a good opportunity for us to we already love Superior Seafood beforehand, which is why we decided
chose it,
to go there. But what was
John
really
Michael,
great, what was really great is that we went there a couple of months beforehand to try the food out and, you know, kind of see what's on the menu and really pick it out. And John Michael was there kind of making sure that we're happy with what we're doing. And that became a fun process in itself, you know, just the trying of the food. And, you know, so don't rob yourself of that opportunity. Go with time and have that moment to, connect with your parents that are coming on that trip with you, and you guys can have a beer together while you're trying the filet and, you're trying all this other stuff. So I would say give yourself enough time to, get Superior Seafood or whatever other, restaurant venue that you decide to do for your rehearsal dinner, and take it from us who are married. Do that post-Sunday brunch. I think that's a really nice way to wrap things up, especially if you're not going on your honeymoon the next day. I really felt like I wanted to continue seeing everybody, because he's right. You are so involved in the stress of creating the thing.
And the night goes by.
Your
wedding day goes by so fast. We had 3.5 hours and it felt like an hour and a half. And we had a great time, but it really, if you can give yourself a few days before you leave to go on your honeymoon and spend the rest of that weekend with people you love, it's good.
I would like to thank you, John Michael, for being on our show. We appreciate you being here and sharing all of this knowledge.
Thank you so much for coming.
I appreciate the opportunity.
So yes.
We are on the corner of Napoleon and St. Charles at 4338 St. Charles Avenue. If you want to get any information online, go to www.superiorseafoodnola.com. You'll go on to private parties on the top right, and at the very bottom you can actually submit an inquiry that will get a direct response on availability of different rooms and if your budget fits. So www.superiorseafoodnola.com.